All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Alexis Miller, and I'll be your yoga instructor today. So, welcome to the Wild Blue Yonder Yoga and the Wild Blue Yonder Media YouTube channel, where we focus on different stretches just to help you get into your body and feel great in it. This class is part of a longer series called Beginner, Intermediate, and Advanced. We've already done two classes in this series that were chair and floor yoga, and now we're moving into the intermediate section. And so what we're going to be focusing on today is a little bit more up off the floor using our blocks to help us get a little bit deeper into postures that are super beneficial for our low body and our back here today. So as we get into the practice, just keep in mind your boundaries. Notice if you're ready to extend into postures, if you need to back off or even come down to the mat. Also keep in mind I don't often cue water. So if and when you feel thirsty, of course, please feel free to step off your mat, grab that drink, and join us whenever you feel ready. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and come into a comfortable seat. I'm sitting up on a block. You can be on a similar prop or simply down on your mat. Your legs can be crossed or straight out in front of you. We'll wiggle back and forth to root into our sits bones, and then we'll sit up nice and tall. Let's inhale as we draw the shoulders forward and up, and then exhale as we drop them back and down. One more time. Inhale, the shoulders come forward and up, and then exhale, they drop back and down. Great. Bringing your hands into a comfortable position, whether on the knees, palms up or down, or in your lap. Excuse me. You're welcome to close the eyes if that feels comfortable, or simply find an unmoving point and fall. You're welcome to close the eyes if that feels comfortable for you, or find an unmoving point and soften your gaze here today. So, this quote comes from the book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Listen less to your fears and more to your dreams. Unquote. If you were to compare the two, how often do you listen to your fears versus your dreams? Does the difference surprise you? Did you expect it? For many of us, fear is a driving factor in the way in which we move through the world. Fear causes us to make choices that don't align with our heart's deepest desire, to act in ways that are out of alignment with our core values, to take up habits that don't support us in living as the fullest expression of ourselves. Can you imagine what your life would look like if you listened more to your dreams and less to your fears? As you move through practice today, notice what wants to take life in you. When is fear holding you back from embodying your practice and getting the most out of our time together here today? So, settling in, taking a deep inhale through the nose, filling the belly, lungs, and chest with air. And then slowly exhaling that breath back out. Taking another deep inhale, fill the belly, lungs, and chest with air. And slowly exhale that breath back out. Take another deep inhale as you feel the belly expanding outward like a big balloon. Then exhale as you draw that belly button in toward your spine. Inhale as you feel your torso expand, your collarbones gently lift. And then exhale as you feel your shoulders release down and away from your ears. Inhale the air in the nose, down the throat, filling your lungs. Then exhale as you feel that air move up the throat and out the nose. Continue to breathe in this way, inhaling and exhaling with intention, really noticing that movement of the breath. Now, if your mind wanders off, simply notice the moment that you've wandered and celebrate that, and then come back to your breath, back to your inhales and your exhales. Now, if it feels right for you, perhaps incorporating a mantra to help you stay grounded and focused on the breath here. Inhale, I listen to. Exhale, my dreams. Inhale, I listen to. Exhale, my dreams. Remaining here with your breath in whatever way best supports you for just a couple more moments here today. Taking another deep inhale here as you set an intention or a purpose for your practice today, which really can be anything at all, but it often answers the question, why did I get on my mat? Take a deep inhale here as you feel that intention with your heart and your mind. Then exhale that breath out, set that intention off to the side, knowing we'll return to it toward the end of our practice. Lovely. If you're sitting on a prop, go ahead and remove that, set it off to the side of the block. We'll come back to it later. Finding a comfortable seat, legs can be crossed or straight out in front of you. We're going to start by inhale, sweep the arms up wide, bring them up overhead, cast the gaze skyward. And then exhale, drop your left hand down to your side, step it about a foot away from your hip. And then exhale, lean over to the left here, coming into that seated side bend. So reach through those top fingers, palm is facing the floor. Feel that pull through the right side body all the way down into that hip. Hips are rooted down into the mat. Take a nice deep inhale. Nice deep exhale. Good. Inhale, come back into center, switch sides. Right hand drops down, step it about a foot out to the right, and then exhale, lean over to the right, reaching through your left fingers, seated side bend. Top palm faces the floor, shoulders shrug down. Feel that pull through the side body. Hips are rooted into the mat here. If you've been with me for the other two classes in this series, you know that doing these first six postures that we're going to do is a great way to open up your spine and get you ready for the rest of your practice or whatever it is you might be about to embark on. Inhale, come back into center. Both arms reach up tall, and then exhale, twist over to the left, right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the body, curve the head around into a seated twist. Feeling that nice ringing sensation in through the spine as if we're wringing out a towel or a washcloth, trying to get all the water out of it. Good. And then inhale, we return to center. Exhale, we twist over to the right, rotating around here, curving that nose around. So we've done four of the postures so far, twisting to either side, bending to either side here. Good. And then inhale, let's come back up into center. Exhale, drop those hands down to the mat, roll over the knees or kick the feet out to the side, and let's come into tabletop. So hands are beneath the shoulders, knees are beneath the hips, tops of the feet come onto the floor. We'll inhale, sink the belly, lift the head and the hips, coming into cow. And then exhale, press the mat away, feel the shoulder blades separate, coming into your cat. Inhale into cow, lifting the torso, look up toward the sky, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale into cat, press the mat away, feel the back lift up toward the sky. Inhale into cow, belly sinks down. We feel that decompression, the low spine. And then exhale into cat. We look down toward the mat and we feel that opening through the upper spine. Good. Inhale returns us to neutral. Great work. So we're going to go ahead and grab our blocks here. If you don't have blocks, find a sturdy surface nearby, maybe a low coffee table. If you only have one block, that's not going to be a problem here. So we're going to start by coming onto our knees and we'll extend our left leg straight out in front of us here. Heel is on the floor, foot is flexed. Good. Blocks are in your hands on the high side. We'll inhale as we lengthen through the spine, and then exhale, hinge at the hips, lead with the heart center, fold forward over this front leg, and then drop those blocks down so they're almost in line with your shoulders here. Now, hands come to rest on those blocks, and we're pressing our chest forward instead of our nose, so we're getting a nice stretch through the back of that left leg. Woo, I'm feeling it. So from the heel all the way up into our hip capsule, maybe even into our back here. Good. Shoulders are shrugged down. You can always adjust the blocks as you need, maybe to a lower side. But blocks are a great way to help yourself work deeper into this posture. You can always bend at the elbows to help yourself sink deeper if that's accessible for you. Remembering that in our beginner class where we did this on the floor with a strap, we were pulling the leg toward the body. So now we're using gravity and our upper body to help do this work instead of allowing the leg to do all of the movement here. Good. One more nice deep breath here. Inhale, exhale. Good. Inhale, come forward onto that front foot. Maybe shift those blocks back to the high side. Sink the hips down. Bring those blocks right beneath the shoulders, coming into your low lunge. So as you come into low lunge, check in. Make sure the knee is in line with the ankle, so we're protecting the knee joint. Those blocks can start on the high side. You can always adjust them and press into them so the hips are not lowering down further than you're ready. Gravity is doing a lot of work. That back foot, the top of it is on the floor, and we're really feeling an opening in our right hip flexor right now. Good. Let's take a couple deep breaths here. Shoulders are down, reaching the crown of the head toward the sky. Again, you can always adjust those blocks as you need as you sink deeper. And if you're only using one block, I recommend having it on the right side. It's a little bit of a counterweight here to that weight that you're putting onto the left side, but option, kind of feel into it. Notice what feels right for you. Good. And then inhale, let's go ahead and shift our weight back onto that back foot here. Flex the front foot, pull those toes in toward the shin. Now take that right block, step it over the left here. Ooh, okay. So you already may start to feel a stretch through the hamstring or the outside of the left leg. Great. A couple options. The more that you walk your blocks to the left and try to get it in line with your hip, the deeper that stretch is going to come. So now we're in our modified revolved triangle. So our front leg is straight. We're pulling those toes in toward our shin, keeping them straight up toward the sky. And we're using our blocks to help us rotate around. We're rotating through the spine. Now, you can stay right here. If you want extra stretch, you can either move those blocks to a lower side, or you can step them further away from the body. So you're starting to hinge and lean a little bit more here. Ooh, that's going to send a lightning bolt of energy through the outside of that left leg. Now, if you're feeling this stretch through the hamstring, that's okay. That just means that's where you're tighter. So work through that. It's not a problem. What's important is that you're doing this stretch anyway, even if the sensation is more subtle through the outside of that left leg here. Good. Shoulders are down, face is soft. Let's take another deep breath here. And then inhale, go ahead, bring those blocks back into neutral. Walk yourself back into that neutral position here. Blocks are on either side. Good. We're going to come into our modified triangle pose here. So I'm going to show it from the back. And when we switch sides, you'll see it from the other side here. So using one of your blocks here, I'm going to set my right one out to the side. I'm going to bring my left block to the inside of my left leg on the medium side. Good. And then I'm going to rotate my torso up, lifting my right arm tall as my left arm plants onto that left block. Good. So as I reach up, I'm feeling a nice pull through the top of this right hip. I'm getting a nice opening through the inside of that right leg or left leg here. Sorry. Good. Opening up the chest as much as you're able. Again, maybe arm reaches up, maybe it's on the hip. Bottom elbow is slightly bent. We're not locking out joints here today. Staying firm on that back knee. Not trying to sit down, but instead stay lifted. Lots of dynamic movement happening right now. Nice deep inhale. Nice deep exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Top hand comes back down, grabs that other block here. Good. Come back into neutral. Come forward onto that front foot. Move your blocks out of the way for just a moment. Hands come to the mat. Heel toe your foot to your right wrist, and then lower your knee to your left wrist. Good. So you notice how your hips are starting to lower down. Now, you may be lifted like this. If you'd like, you can always have a block underneath the hips for extra support here. You may not need that. We're going to start to lower ourselves down. So you may need to slide your right leg toward the back of the mat. And now you're either welcome to stay right here. You can come down onto a block or two blocks on the forearms, or lower directly down onto the mat on your forearms. Keeping your left foot flexed here. So we're getting a nice stretch through that hip while also protecting our knee joint here. Back leg is straight out behind you here. Shoulders are shrugged down. Good. So face is soft. And if you remember in the floor version of this class, we actually did this on our back. So if doing this specific posture is not accessible for you, especially if you have any kind of knee injuries or former surgeries, for example, coming down onto your back is a great way to modify this because you can control the intensity a lot easier than you do with your body weight. Options, not requirements. Let's take a nice deep breath here. Let it go. One more breath. Inhale, exhale. Good. Inhale. Go ahead. Press yourself back on up. Go ahead and tuck the back toes, lift that right leg, and then slide the knee forward. And then go ahead and extend your left leg straight out behind you. Move that leg around in a couple circles in one direction just to release that joint. We just did a lot of work in there. And then in the other direction. Good. And then come back to neutral here. Grab your blocks, come up onto your knees, and then extend your right leg out straight in front of you here. Good. So foot is flexed, toes are pointing up. Blocks are in your hands on the high side. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Lead with the heart center. Fold forward over your leg here. Ooh, we're feeling it on this side. You pop those blocks down, trying to keep them as close to the shoulders as you can, bending at the elbows, pressing the chest forward, feeling that beautiful stretch from the heel all the way up into the hip. And if you're like, Alexis, this feels anything but beautiful, you're probably doing it right. So that just means that your body really needs this stretch, really needs this. Keep in mind that getting into our legs actually is how we get into our hips and therefore our back. So if you have low back pain, it's actually not great to start with the back. We want to start with the hips and the legs because that's often what is pulling on the back and creating that tension. Seems counterintuitive, but it works time and time again here. So you can stay on the high side. You can move down onto a low side here, hinging at the elbows to help you get deeper or less deep, depending on where you are at here today. Breathing deeply. Good. And then inhale, go ahead, come back on up, lift the torso, shift forward onto that front foot, lower those hips down into your low lunge. Blocks pop down here, hands press into those blocks. We're now in our low lunge. So check in. Knee is in line with your ankle, so we protect that knee joint. Where hips are sinking down, we're using the blocks to press down so gravity doesn't take us further than the body is ready today. We're feeling a nice opening in our left hip flexor. Shoulders are shrugged down. We're reaching our crown of our head toward the sky here, taking a couple deep breaths. Good. Inhale, press into those blocks, shift the weight onto the back knee, straighten the front leg, flex the front foot. Take that left block now, step it over the right side. Now, you may already start feeling a stretch. You're welcome to stay here. Couple options is to start moving those blocks step by step back, getting as far as you can, or until you are in line with the hips. So now you can kind of see this from the opposite side here. All right. So you can stay right here. We're feeling a nice stretch to the outside of that right leg, keeping those toes pulled in and facing toward the sky. If you need to deepen that stretch, you either drop the blocks to a lower height or you step those blocks further away from the body here. Ooh, that's going to light up that IT band here, light up that hamstring space. So notice where you're at, feeling that rotation through the spine. We take a couple deep breaths here. Good. Inhale, let's go ahead and walk ourselves back into center. So bringing those blocks back to neutral, blocks come to either side of the body. Great. I'm going to step my left block out of the way. I'm going to bring my right block to the inside of my calf on the medium side. I'll plant that right hand on the block and then inhale, sweep tall with that left arm coming into our modified triangle. So opening up the hips, feeling that pull through the left hip here as I reach toward the sky. Hand can also be on the hip if that's better for the shoulder. Opening up the torso, bottom elbows just slightly bent. We don't want to lock out our front joint. Keeping those toes pulling in toward the shin so we're getting a nice little stretch to the inside of our right leg here. Good. Couple nice deep breaths. And inhale, top hand comes on down, maybe grabs that block here as you come into neutral. Shift your weight onto that front foot, step your blocks out of the way for now. Hands come down to the mat. Heel toe your foot over to the left wrist, lower your knee down to the right wrist. Now, you're welcome to stay right here. Again, you can always pop a block beneath that right hip for some extra support if that's where you're at today. Great option. You may need to slide your left leg back toward the back of the mat here. And as we lower down, we're feeling a nice pull in that right hip space here, keeping that right foot gently flexed or protecting the knee joint. Now you're welcome to stay here up on the hands. Option is to lower down onto your forearms on a block or perhaps straight down onto the mat. Now, trying to keep that left hip pointing and reaching down toward the floor so we're not sitting into the right hip. That's what's going to keep that stretch nice and deep here. And remembering that you can always modify by coming onto your back and doing that reclined pigeon instead, like we did in our other class. Options, not requirements, just keeping in mind what your body needs today. Shoulders are shrugged down, face is soft. Let's take a couple deep breaths here. Good. Inhale, let's go ahead and bring ourselves back on up into center. Move your props out of the way. Go ahead, tuck the back toes, lift the back leg, shift that left knee forward, and then extend your right leg straight out behind you. Move that leg around in a couple circles in one direction. And then in the other, just releasing that hip, that low back. Whew, we just did a lot of movement and work in that joint. Good. Drop that knee and then make your way down into a seated position. We're actually going to come down onto our back. So if you need a towel off, grab a drink of water, put on socks or a jacket for final relaxation. Now is your moment. We won't sit up for the rest of practice. Okay. So coming down onto your back, you tuck those knees into the chest, wrap your arms around, give yourself a little hug. Maybe a rock from side to side for a little roly-poly action if that feels good for you. Good. And then coming to stillness, we're going to go ahead and find our final relaxation. So soles of the feet drop down to the floor, knees are in little mountains. You can stay here. You can drop those knees wide, soles of the feet come together for reclined bound angle. You can extend one leg or the other for fallen tree, or extend both legs for traditional final relaxation. You're also welcome to lay on your side or on your belly, or you can simply return to a seated position, like a seated meditation. It's really whatever you prefer, as this is your final relaxation. So find that position that makes you feel the most comfortable here today. And as you settle in, take a moment to tune back into the breath. Notice how fast or slow it's moving, how deep or shallow. Notice that quality of the breath as you draw it in, and as you exhale it out. And see if you can gently rest your attention here on the breath, just allowing yourself to notice it and bear witness to it. If you find that your mind wanders off on a thinking adventure, that's okay. Notice the moment that you've gone away and celebrate the noticing, and then come back to the breath, back to the inhales and exhales. If it's helpful, perhaps come back to the mantra that we used at the beginning of our practice. Inhale, I listen to. Exhale, my dreams. Inhale, I listen to. Exhale, my dreams. Remaining here with your breath in whatever way best supports you for just a few more moments today. I'm going to get quiet for this final part of practice. Please know that I'm watching the time and I respect yours, and I will let you out of this posture before the end of our time together. So lean back, let go, and rest right here. In order to avoid discord, destruction, and suffering, each of us can bring our practice of mindfulness, our insights, and experience of community building to help create a global community. Bringing your awareness back to this space, taking a deep inhale through the nose, filling your belly, lungs, and chest with air. And slowly exhaling that breath back out. Take another deep inhale as you begin to wiggle the fingers and toes. Move the arms and legs, gently waking your body up. And when it feels right for you, gently rolling onto one side, pausing there for with an arm or a hand beneath the head. Perhaps bring back to mind your intention or your purpose that you set at the beginning of your practice that answered the question, why did I get on my mat? Take a nice deep inhale here as you make your way on up into a seated position, and we close out our practice together today. So finding that comfortable seat, rooting into the sits bones, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, draw the shoulders forward and up. Exhale, drop them back and down. Hands come into a comfortable position, whether on the knees, palms up or down, in the lap or at heart center. Closing the eyes if that feels comfortable for you. We take a moment to express gratitude for yet another lovely day here on earth and for our bodies that allow us to do so many things, including yoga. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through this practice today. It was a joy and an honor, and I hope to be able to do so again in the future. The light in me, it sees the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice that is part of the beginner, intermediate, and advanced series. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this practice, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, Wild Blue Yonder Media. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Wild Blue Yonder Yoga, and make sure to share with your friends. That's how more people learn about me and are able to feel good in their bodies too. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow up. We've got the advanced class coming, the final part of this little mini series, and we've got lots of other great practices on the channel. So make sure to join me again. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you in a future practice. Bye.